And until someone builds a time machine to grab a 27-year-old Michael Jordan and throw him into today's NBA,
please do.
There's quite honestly no way to know what MJ would average. That would be the case if Daryl Ventura never existed.
All right, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Hope you all are having a good day so far. So I found this video, and it's called "Would He Still Dominate?" and it's by Post 2K. I think it's about MJ. I'm pretty damn sure it's about MJ. We're about to find out in a second here. Yeah, this question's funny, but I just want to see someone else's take on it. I think you guys know my take. What would MJ do in today's league? I'm just going to sum it up like this. I'm not going to claim how many points he would score. What I'm going to say is he would score as many as he needed in order for the team to be successful and win championships. So if that's 30 a game, he'd score 30. If that's 40 a game, he would do 40. If that was 45 to 50, well, I think he'd get up to about 47 a game, and he'd have no problem doing it if he had to. Would that lead to winning basketball? We don't know. So that's why I say I'm not going to sit here and say like, nah, he'd get 50, because could he get 50 anytime he wanted? Absolutely. But would he? I don't know, because he reduced his scoring in order to win, and he did that in his era. You know, because he was averaging 37 and 35, and he was just staying around that range. But he had to reduce his scoring down to 30 points a game in order for the team to be successful and become a championship juggernaut, you know? So I know he's willing to do whatever it takes to win, and that's why I always have that answer. Would he still dominate? Abso-freaking-lutely. All right, now, so that's established. Let's see what this video is all about. Let's see what their take is. I'm going to leave the link to the original video down below. That's going to be in the description box. So that's Post 2K, his channel. And everybody else, leave this video a like. I appreciate y'all. I'm looking forward to this.
Every year or so, there's a discussion centered around players who played during the 1980s and 90s and their ability to not only play, but to dominate in today's NBA. Whether it's because today's players are thought of to be softer, or that the league got rid of major rule changes to make offense quote-unquote easier.
Real quick, just for context, this is from 10 months ago. Okay, so it's still new.
Or simply because they're competitive, egotistical super athletes who have the most confidence in themselves to dominate against anybody at any time. Some former players have come together like the Avengers to confidently say that in the 90s, LeBron would have been just an average player. That's crazy. Some of these theorists go as far as stating that had Michael Jordan played in
LeBron in the 80s and 90s, I think he would have, with his size, he would have been delegated to a Karl Malone type role. So that's the way I see it. He would still be good. He'd have to work on that post game a little more, but he'd be forced to because coaches wouldn't allow him on the perimeter. So he'd be banging in the post. He'd have to learn a different style of basketball, but he had the physical body to get it done. It would be all about mindset at that point.
In today's NBA, he would have averaged a 40-point triple-double. Not just 40 points per game across an 82-game season that's only been accomplished twice by we all know who, but 40 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists per game. If any player has a 40-point triple-double once in a season, it's viewed as an incredible feat. It's an uncommon stat line among the game's top players.
Yeah, but could MJ do it? Absolutely. Once again, if that's what it took to win. Could he do it? Yeah, why not? He was averaging a 30-point triple-double early on in his career in a much deflated scoring league. So why not? 10 more points? Easy.
But to average those numbers across a season sounds fictional.
Nah.
And until someone builds a time machine to grab a 27-year-old Michael Jordan and throw him into today's NBA,
please do.
There's quite honestly no way to know what MJ would average. That would be the case if Daryl Ventura never existed. Daryl Ventura is a writer at Medium.com who crunched the numbers to give us the closest estimate for what type of wizardry Jordan would pull off in today's NBA.
Okay, all
and
right.
To put the 40-point triple-double into perspective, the closest season Mike had to averaging a triple-double was the 1989 season. He averaged 32.5 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists per game. Since then, the NBA has added 2 major rules that increased offensive production in the NBA: the defensive 3 seconds and the elimination of the hand-checking rule. Since 2003, a team's points per game has gone up 18%.
Yeah.
And a team's field goal percentage has soared to over 46%, despite players taking nearly triple the amount of three-pointers.
Yeah, it's because there's no defense. Yeah, there's no opposition.
Adjusting Jordan's stats based on how much scoring has increased in the NBA, in his near triple-double season, MJ would have theoretically averaged 38.5 points per game. Now throw in one more point and an increased pace from what it was 25 years ago. It would give Jordan the chance to grab a few more rebounds, a couple of assists, and a 40-point triple-double doesn't seem out of reach.
No, it's not. That's why I'm not even fazed by this. Like, absolutely, he could do this. It just depends on if he wanted to.
George Karl may not be delusional after all.
No.
But that isn't the craziest part. According to the numbers, in his 13-year career as a Chicago Bull, MJ would have averaged 38 points per game. And at his scoring peak in the 1987 season, he would have averaged 44 points per game in today's NBA.
Yeah, and you got to think his shooting percentage would have been even higher. It was already 50% back then with that type of defense and opposition. Give him wide open shots like they get nowadays, forget about it. He'd probably be averaging 60% easy.
Maybe the old heads do have a point.
Yeah,
there's no doubt that Jordan would benefit from the rules in today's NBA. Would he average 40? Yeah. A 40-point triple-double? If he put his mind to it? Probably.
Yeah.
From the way that offense is played nowadays, a 40-point triple-double doesn't seem outlandish. But we'll never know the truth, because these are useless NBA stats.
Super cool.
LeBron James recently became the first player in NBA history to surpass the 39,000 points mark. As a result of his quite literal, unstoppable style of play, he's been able to create easy shots for himself and his teammates, all thanks to one of the most dominant skills the league has ever seen: dunks and layups.
Reading.
It sounds so simple. Just put a shot blocker in the paint when you face Bron and you'll be good. Coaching staffs wish it was that easy, because 21 years deep into his career, and there isn't a human capable of stopping him when he's going downhill. In the NBA, LeBron has made over 5,500 layups and more than 2,100 dunks.
That's right. He gets away. I'm not gonna get too defensive on this, but he gets away with elbows and offensive fouls. He ducks. He lowers his shoulder, barrels into the player, so he gets away with an offensive foul. And if he gets a clear lane to the basket after that, then okay, he's got 2 easy points. If he gets anybody trying to block his shot, then he gets his 2 free throws. So it is unstoppable because it's not fair.
Right, over 2,000 dunks, comfortably placing him 4th in NBA history in terms of total dunks in the regular season. And he's alongside centers: Dwight Howard, Shaq, DJ, Tyson Chandler. LeBron is the outlier. He's a small forward who spends the majority of his time out on the perimeter, and when he wants to get into the paint, he could do so at will. Pretty cool stat, but there's more to it. Let's say we were to remove the most unstoppable part of LeBron's game. Is he still dominant and just as great of a scorer? Remove all those easy-ass layups and dunks, and this dude sucks, I swear. Oh, he's still ranked as the 33rd greatest scorer ever. Get rid of every dunk and layup of his career that account for more than 15,000 points. It would leave him with over 23,911 points in his career. Eliminate the most dominant force in his game, and he still outperforms all-time greats like Larry Bird, Stephen Curry, DeMar DeRozan, and his boy D Wade.
Well, yeah, his career was twice as long as Larry Bird's, though. So if we went year for year, instead of doing total points, he really should have done averages, because that's the way to go about it. You're talking about Larry Bird, who played 12 seasons, I believe. 12 seasons in the NBA, 13 tops. But you can't compare a total scoring number from 12 seasons to 22. Of course, 22 seasons, you better have nearly double the amount of points, which I don't even think is the case. Chris Paul is one of those who played a long time too, but yeah, it's just not fair to compare total number of stats like that. against players who played a much shorter career. Same thing with MJ. You know, MJ didn't play nearly as long as LeBron did, so it's not going to look the same. But if we're talking about how many points would LeBron James average if there were 0 dunks, that would be something I'm interested in. And that's why I say I'd relegate him more to a Karl Malone type of role, because he's not going to get easy looks at the rim. You know, he's going to have to work for his shots.
Those who say he's good at scoring only because he's athletically gifted.
Okay, but I want to compare this. Barkley played way less. Steph has played way less already. Obviously, he came into the league later. DeRozan, same thing. Clyde played less. Chris Paul is actually getting up there. GP played less. Bird played way less. It's not fair. I want to see the averages. AI played way less.
You're crazy. This stat is still useless. It proves what we already knew about LeBron. He's a jack of all trades. As he's lost some of his athleticism and explosiveness over the years, he's transformed his skill set from all-out force to finesse, and he's still been able to dominate. But why would LeBron or any other player not lay the ball up or throw it down during their entire career? That doesn't make sense. It's just another useless stat. And at one point, the three-point shot was useless. Then it became normal. Then it became popular. And then it exploded into something that nobody could have predicted. The emphasis on the three-pointer today is arguably greater than any scheme or offensive loophole that's been abused to score points.
Yeah, it's killing the
Jack
game
up
right
as
now.
many threes as you can, and you'll either lose by 50 one week or win by 40 the next.
Yeah, I know.
It depends on the night, and it depends even more on the shooters that teams are
Hold up. Man, look at those final scores. 143, 120, 125, 113, 155, 152, 137, 130, 157. This is... So to say Jordan couldn't get 40? You kidding me?
the next. It depends on the night, and it depends even more on the shooters that teams are letting take these deep shots.
Yeah.
More than ever, we have seen players sign lucrative contracts with the sole reason being they can shoot. Michael Jordan made over $86 million during his time in the NBA. Davis frickin' Bertans has made just $7 million less in his career. All he does is stand in the corner, wait for the ball to swing his way, and jack up a three.
It's so
The three
true.
ball has created careers for dozens of players. And thanks to Steph Curry, there are players today that solely rely on the three to create a career for themselves. If Steph was never proficient in shooting the deep ball, his career would have taken a complete 180 into a pass-first point guard, or maybe he just never reaches the success that he has now. If we got rid of every three-pointer that Curry has made in his career, he would be left with over 18,000 career points, knocking him down from having the 39th most points in NBA history down to the 71st spot with the likes of Isaiah Thomas and Jason Terry. A peek inside what Curry's career
Hey,
may
shout out Eddie Johnson, 65 on the list. That's an accomplishment, man. Dolph Shays, Glenn Rice, good to see ya. World be free.
have looked like had he not relied on the three. Still great, but not legendary. Let's say we took the 10 greatest three-point shooters of all time and got rid of all of their threes to illustrate who has relied on the three the most in their career. These are their career point totals and their all-time scoring rank on the left. And on the right are those same players without the three-point shot. Guys like LeBron, Vince Carter, and James Harden suffered the smallest drop-offs, simply because they have other aspects to their game that allows them to score efficiently. If the three-pointer never existed, these guys would have no problem carving out a career for themselves in the NBA. On the flip side, Kyle Korver and Klay Thompson wouldn't be the players that they were if it wasn't for the three. Would they?
Okay, I can already tell you why this is like this doesn't make any sense though. If Steph Curry, okay, if there was no 3-point shot, guess what? Steph Curry would still be getting 2 points for those shots. He'd still be hitting those shots. You know what I'm saying? So, and if you want to take it a step further and say you're not allowed to shoot from that far away for some weird reason, then he'd be playing the same type of game but in a mid-range, and he'd still be successful. I'm not digging this stat. I'm just not, because you should give him 2/3 of his points still. Same with Ray, all these guys, Kyle Korver. It would just be worth 2 points.
They become mid-range specialists, or would they turn into a modern-day Steve Kerr? Stand in the corner and patiently wait for the ball to swing your way. Something tells me Clay wouldn't have the patience for that. Without the three-point line, there are many NBA careers that would be in question. But 44 years after its introduction, that 23-foot 9-inch line from the basket is more present than it's ever been. Some of the greatest shooters on the planet may not have a career without the three, but it doesn't matter. It's just another stat that holds no purpose. Similar to what fans thought when the in-season tournament was announced. And then it quickly became one of the greatest additions the league has ever made. The do-or-die games in the knockout rounds bring excitement and intensity for every second of the game, as fans were usually spending the entire regular season waiting for the playoffs, and at times were wishfully hoping for a Game 7, one game to decide your entire season. That's why the in-season tournament is so good. But what does NBA history look like had the league taken the approach of the in-season tournament, March Madness, or the NFL?
All right, I'm interested in that. I mean, that's the one problem. Okay, the in-season tournament, great, but it means nothing, so that's why it sucks. But the actual layout of it is kind of cool. You know, win or go home, I'm all about it. But there's nothing. There's no point to it. So the in-season tournament, like it was a funny wake-up call last year, because it was like I was excited watching it, and then like 2 days later the regular season continues, and I'm like, oh yeah, all right. So that was just like a joke. It meant nothing. But if like the actual playoffs were set up in a situation like that, or if they had a tournament that led to, like, I don't know, a first draft pick or something like that. You know what I mean? Like you got a number 1 pick, something to be rewarded by, something to care about, something to make these guys actually want to play. I'd be down for it, because the layout is cool. There's just no honey at the end of it. There's no honey.
What if once the playoffs started, the winner of every game won in every round would immediately move on?
I'm curious.
I've gone through every series of the last 23 NBA finals to determine how much of history would have actually changed. In last season's playoffs...
The problem here, though, is that everyone knows that's not how it is. So they weren't playing do or die. But I'm still curious about what the results are here.
These were the matchups headed into round 1. And if the winner of every game 1 moved on, it would look like this. No changes in the East, but in the West, Sacramento would have snuck past the Warriors, and the Clippers would have upset the Suns. Now with these round 2 matchups, there are some series that didn't actually happen, like the Nuggets versus Clippers series, so we don't actually know who would have won game 1.
Oh, yeah.
For these cases, we'll take the winner of their first regular season clash against each other. And in this case, the Nuggets move on. Do this for every series, for the conference finals, and we're left with the same finals matchup.
Wow.
Denver wins game 1, so our champion remains the same. How exciting. Now do this for every series of the last 22 years, and it looks like this. With single game knockouts, only 8 of the last 23 champions remain the same. And to all of our demise, the Warriors' dynasty still takes place during the late 2010s.
Wow.
Except they three-peated this time. History repeats itself as Miami captures 2 titles during the LeBron era.
Wow.
And the Kobe and Shaq Lakers run it back. To everyone's surprise though, Phoenix and Orlando captures their first championship in franchise history.
I wish.
And the Sacramento Kings would have won back-to-back titles in 2003 and 2004. History would have been flipped upside down, dude. LeBron carries Cleveland to a championship.
That's true though, yeah. With San Antonio, we got screwed. We got screwed later on in the series. So yeah, if that was just a win and go home, yeah, we would have been there, man.
In 09, Derrick Rose brings the Bulls back to the mountaintop, and Brooklyn's Big Three actually gets it done. Had the NBA followed in the footsteps of college basketball or the NFL with a winner-take-all format, we'd be looking at players and franchises much differently with a ring on their finger. But we won't. It never happened, because these are useless NBA stats.
Yeah. All right, that was an interesting video. I'm not sure what I was expecting, but I don't think that was it. But it was also actually really entertaining. Unfortunately, though, okay, at least he does say these are useless NBA stats, because they are. Because none of this stuff is like applicable. The Jordan thing is the most applicable, I think, because we can actually go back and compare, you know, numbers from then to now and just kind of like fill in the gap. But the rest of them, you know, like the 3-point thing, I have a problem with. Take away the dunk thing, I have a problem with, because it's not apples to apples. A lot of this was like apples to oranges in comparison. So I don't see that it's fair. One game, win or go home, though. If that's how the NBA playoffs was, it would definitely stir up some excitement, but the NBA would lose out on a lot of money, because, you know, that's a lot of playoff games that are not existing anymore that they can monetize. But I think it would be really exciting, kind of like March Madness or what the NFL does. But yeah, there's also something cool about it being a 7-game series and knowing it's not just a lucky team, it's the best team that's winning. I don't know, though, because if it was that way, then, you know, the New York Giants probably wouldn't have won those previous last two Super Bowls against Tom Brady, because they did that just like putting everything on the line for one game to get out of the wild card in the first round, the second round, and then take on Brady and just put it all on the line for a game. If that was a 7-game series in football, yeah, I don't think the Giants would have won any of those. Anyways, let me know what you guys thought about this one. I thought it was pretty interesting. Link is down below if you guys want to check out the channel. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the comments. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. And I will see you all very soon. All right, peace out, everybody.